Alrighty, YouTube, we're back again. Alright, let's try and build my player a little bit better. So, I think we should go for the speedy, just because it's the same overall. But, like, my hitting is fine. Or is that fielding? No. Yeah, my hitting is fine, but my speed is just okay. So, I think getting that little boost will make a difference. So we're going to go with that. What is this? Your I guess technically like my batting skills, but as in my attributes, but I'm clearly too good. What is this? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know we had these. Oh, well, they're kind of lackluster. Oh, these are repeatable. Okay, that's why. I mean, that's all fine and dandy. I didn't actually notice that we had these. No. Learn something new every day. But you can't tell me he doesn't look just like me. I'm not joking when I say I wish I could look like that. I wish I had such, like, long hair. Beards are too itchy. I love how even all of my stats are. I'm actually so excited for the football game tonight because I actually have somebody in the fantasy. What a terrible sentence. I have a player in the game. Arm strength, let's go. So the podcast that I'm listening to right now is the Steve Dangle podcast. As I mentioned last video, you guys should check him out. Steve, sponsor me for no reason. You know, I'll come on the podcast. I'll talk hockey. It's weird how many hockey players have been on that podcast, but like they never break down the nitty gritty. They just talk about like, oh, what was it like being in the NHL? And they're like, it was awesome. What do you expect? Like, I got to make millions. But what I'm saying is they're talking about how people are coming back from injuries, like, really quickly. And I'm like, yeah, one, they're millionaires. Two, they're $1 million assets. Like, you're telling me if your top player is Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid or your LeBron James, Damian Lillard's, I know they're like two way different classes, but I'm just trying to name top players. Your Bryce Harper's, your yada yada yada. I'm just showing off with all the different players I know. Get injured. The training staff isn't going to take the best care of them they can. That was a nice change up. Like, it's not like the player. Like, one, people like LeBron James are freaks of nature. They will roll their ankles and then be fine the next day. Like, don't get me wrong, that is insane if you really think about it. When I was in France, one of my first few days, it's funny because I fucking hated the guy because he hurt me on the first day, but he was the nicest guy in the world. His name was, I could picture his face, and he didn't speak that great of English. But, like, me and him, we would joke around. Like, he was this, like, 35-year-old dad. And he didn't speak that much English, but he was from, like, Lithuania. So he spoke, like, 5 different languages. And he'd come up to me and be like, I kill you. Just, like, joking around and shit like that. Like, but, one of my first days, if you know anything about hockey, you have your shoulder pads and your pants. But again, shoulder pads, as they say, they protect your shoulder and your chest. Your stomach is vulnerable, and your lower back is vulnerable. So he was just like in front of the net, and he gave me a cross check to my back, and it must have hit me just in the perfect spot because it tightened my back up, and I had back spasms for. I'm like a week or two into living in France. I had back spasms like for the first month of living there, and I was like, I can't not play because they're paying me and I want to keep getting paid. So for the first 3 preseason games, I would just have to have an Advil and like icy hot. It like massages, and it's for the first literally and this is gonna spiral in, but I love my dad to death, but he is the biggest baby in the world. He would be like, one time he's like, yo, you ever got a Charlie horse? Oh, they're the worst. Like, oh, you don't know pain until you know a Charlie horse. And I'm like, Dad, I've had to have like, I think the least one I've had with an injury was when I tore a ligament in my shoulder, my collarbone, and so like they popped out and whatever. That one wasn't fun, but I've definitely been lucky in the sense that I haven't had too many major injuries. I had tendonitis in my foot, which wasn't awful. It only really lasted like 3 days, but I was in like crutches for 2 of those days because I just couldn't put any weight on it. But my sister, who was a skating instructor, I just got frozen, was a skating instructor, and she was teaching kids how to skate, and she accidentally fell backwards and hurt her ankle pretty bad. And so she was at home, she just couldn't walk, she couldn't do anything. And my dad was like, well, just try and walk on it. Like, can you try and move it? She's like, no, I can't. Like, it's in a lot of pain. He's like, okay, sure, if you say so. So then, like, a week or 2 goes by, and my mom's like, you're going to the hospital. Turns out she had a broken, like, ankle or a broken bone in her foot. And my dad was like, oh, so it actually really hurt. No, the teacher was like, yeah, it didn't feel good. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Again, I preference that with I love my dad to death. He's one of the funniest human beings there are, because, and he doesn't even know it. I will go home on the weekend, and I haven't seen him in like 2 months, and he knows that I'm a big Leafs fan and I'm a players first kind of guy, and he's not, because he didn't deal with it. He's always been a fan, and so he'll say shit just to piss me off, and I'm like, why the fuck do I come home? You're just being an ass for the sake of being an ass. And like, again, that was a great curveball. That was gross. I wonder if I'm leading the league or the team in home runs yet. No, that's just a bloop. Yeah, he was just like, yeah, this one time I pulled my hamstring and it was really sore. I was like, yeah, Dad, I'm sure it was. It's not like when he's sick, he's the sickest person in the world. It's just, there's no getting around it. My mom is a warrior, though. I don't understand how she does it. She'll stay home sick from work and be like, I couldn't lie in bed, so I cleaned the whole house. I'm like, what the fuck? You're insane. Got him down. Touch them all, Joe. Touch them all. You'll never hit a bigger one. He didn't. Spoiler alert. He's whittly gwittying right now. Take second. Thank you. Over under. Connor Bedard gets 40 goals. Dude, my steal is 80. I'm stealing this right now. Okay, I didn't get the leap I wanted. All right, well, I'm going home. Yeah, they didn't stand a chance. And that's why you get the speed. Do you see how it's all building up in the story? You start the episode off, oh, should I get speed? And then you score from second, and you're like, oh, I am Billy Hamilton. What a catch! Blind. I didn't see the light of day till I was a man. Until then, it was blinding. Tom Hardy? Good actor. I like him. He's played he was Bane, right? Is that who I'm thinking of? I remember one time when I was playing for Waterloo Blackhawks, we had to do we'd be asked questions and they would be put on like the Jumbotron for the fans. And one of them was like, oh, name 3 celebrities you would like to have like dinner with. And I remember I was like, Tom Cruise, because he makes a good Batman. But it's Christian Bale, now that I actually know. But let me go Tom Hardy. Just because, again, does he play 2 different characters in the Spider-Man universe? Because I know he played Venom, but I'm pretty sure he also played today Junior. He also played Bane, right? Where's his IMDb? Oh yeah, he was in Inception. Mad Max, that's a good movie. Yeah, he was. He was Bane and... Like, I feel like that should be pretty well known. But I'm also an idiot, so there's that. But it's weird because I know that Mad Max is a really good movie and it's a great action film, but it's honestly a hard movie to, for me at least, to get people to watch and enjoy, just because there's not a lot of like dialogue. It's just a lot of kind of stuff happening. Do I go home? I'm gonna go home. What a gun! Oh my god. That was insane. Like, come on. You're in AAA and you do a spin around jumping throw to home and it's on the money. Are you kidding me? Okay, if this is a bloop, I get a throw home. Just don't be like a deep sack fly. I didn't have a chance. Just slapping everything the other way. Slap at the base. But yeah, so what I was saying is, Mad Max is a hard movie for me to suggest. Suggest is not the right word, because I will suggest it. I think it's a really good movie. But it's I understand why people have a hard time getting into it if you just do not know or care about it. I didn't know about it, and I don't remember how I watched it for the first time. But it's such a... there's not a lot of words and it's just a lot of action, and at the beginning it's a lot of weird fantasy stuff, like you're in the desert and people are worshiping this fat guy who has water. Like, it's a lot of weird shit going on. What are the tanks called? Man, I actually gotta watch that movie again. It's really good. But yesterday, I was at the Cubs hockey game. Or sorry, it was practice. And I forget what we were talking about in the dressing room afterwards. But I was giving I did a Step Brother quote. And all the coaches were like, yeah, I don't really know that movie. I just left university. And I was like, I was in elementary school when that came out. And that's like it's not a new movie by any stretch, but I do constantly think of it as like not that old. But that is like what 15 years ago now. I was talking about fighting one of the trainers, or like the equipment manager, and I was like, he was trying to, like, I can't remember exactly what was happening, but I said, oh, he had the craziest look in his eye, and he was yelling, "Let's get it on." I was talking about the fight. I'm totally not a raper, and I'm like, it was a great quote. I thought it was really funny. And they were like, "What is that? What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh no, is that over their head? No, it's just gonna be at somebody." They're like, "Oh no, I'm in the wrong group." But again, I still don't think, unless you're a big Step Brothers fan, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I know what that movie is," or like, "I know that quote." I'm excited to play Super Hot Pets. This has been a fun weekly. There's like two different ways. Oh no, maybe that was last week that I'm thinking about. This week is all about. It's not like I win every time, but it's flying squirrel, get a toy, and then if you get a puma, oh, it's sick. There was a tweet, or maybe it was a TikTok, and saying how Pokemon is such a insane, has taken on such a life of its own, where you could say something like, yeah, I like a Lola Golem where you could explode on the first turn, or use Flame Orb, yada yada yada, and you're like, and it makes no sense if you don't know what this is. If you talk about anything, we're truly, you need to find your niche, and that's the thing. I know all the niches. Bad jump. Oh, I'm gunned. I'm not gunned. Let's go. This guy was in the MLB for a little bit. How is 98 like slightly above average for speed? Or 95, sorry. Like, I'm gonna end up stealing home for, or tagging up on this. That was an unbelievable throw, though. Holy hell. Surprisingly strong arm. My camera work definitely needs improvement. I can't just be spinning it around hoping for the best. Hopefully I get called up to the MLB. I don't think I'm going to get this year, but I think I can get a spot in the 40-man roster. And plus, you never know. They'll be like, "Oh, you're a great center fielder, but we want you to play second base." That's what this game devolves into. They'll be like, "I know you've been phenomenal at third base, but have you ever thought about playing first or corner outfielder?" And I'm like, "No, just let me stay with what I want to be." It drives me nuts. I'm like, why do I get the freedom? I understand in the theory of the game, it's like, okay, we want to make this realistic, and being realistic is teams needs players to change their game. No, I'm not fast enough. I wanted to stretch that. Change their game to blend in for the team. That's fine, but I'm not playing it to be realistic. Like, I'm 5'7", 5'6", and my guy in the video games are like 6'3", just because I think it's cool. Like, I'm not being realistic here. I can't hit a 99-mile-per-hour fastball. Let me play third base or center field, or sometimes I even like being a catcher. Oh, I was late. I knew it. I still need to make dinner. I think I'm just gonna make eggs and maybe some bacon, just because I'm trying to be like. Until you start actually measuring your food, you don't really realize how many calories are in certain things. So, bacon isn't terrible. It's just when you go to a buffet and you have 90 slices of bacon, that's when you're like, okay, this isn't good for me. But when you have just like a slice or 2 slices, it's not good for you. I'm not gonna be like, oh, everybody should eat bacon. It's fine. Everything in moderation, even moderation. But I've just been putting on far too much weight. It's crazy for me to think about. My playing weight was like 180 pounds. Now I'm like 220 pounds. And like 180 was heavy for a hockey player at my height. Now I'm just ballooning up, all because I don't want to. Unless I eat perfect diet, I don't lose weight. Because this is my biggest problem with losing weight, I will find a meal that I love, and it will fit in my macros, and then I'll just stop tracking it, as in I'll stop being like, oh, I'm going to put it in because I know what it is, like calorie wise. But then I'll like add a little bit, or I'll add something else, and I was just like, my biggest weakness is Fairlife chocolate milk. I will drink a gallon of that without a second thought. I'm going to get that, you buffoon. Not even baboon, you buffoon. I just want the space. It's tempting me. I can't have it, so I want it. I played so much MLB 16 that even my sister knew all the songs on like the playlist. I'm so fast. People have called me the Sonic of baseball. I don't even know what it means, but I guess. I love how this game is just like secondary to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm just here to talk. Oh, but sometimes I get so upset when I just miss it. Oh, well. I think after this game, I'm just going to go play some Dynasty for like the last 10 minutes. Who gives a hoot? Not me. I wanted, 3 doubles? Holy cow. I do want to know if I'm leading the team in home runs yet, though. This is insane to me that this is like some people's jobs. Like obviously it takes a lot more than just showing up and making funny jokes. But it's like I go to work every day hating my life, and some people just like wake up and they're like, "Oh, that's Nate Pearson right there. That's cool." And they're just like, "Yeah, what am I going to play today? What games do I make all my viewers watch?" I'm second on the team, and I have nearly 300 less at-bats. I am already 2, 4, 6, 8 on the team in stolen bases, or RBI, sorry. Yeah, fuck bunting. I don't know how my bunting skill has gone up. I haven't done anything for it. Oh, look at this. I'm a 6'4" switch hitter. 206. That's a little lean for my liking. Next time I do it, I'm going to say I'm from Cuba. I'm so glad that I went to Cuba by myself. Like, it was insane that I did it in the first spot. like again, I went to Cuba by myself, just for essentially what happened. About 5 minutes. So I'll explain it. Is my sister and her fiance went to Cuba once, and they're like, "Oh, you need to go. It's so much fun." And I looked at it, and I was looking at the prices, and this must have been May. Yeah, so it was the end of May, and one of the days it was snowing. So I was like, okay, no, what the hell? I don't want to deal with snow. So I looked, and usually the prices are like $1,000 for a week. It was $600 for 5 days, and my sister was like, "You're booking this." I'm like, "Come on, I don't $600. That's a lot of money. I'm not rich. Hey, living ain't cheap." But I ended up going. I met a lot of people, made a lot of friends, and not too many people can say that they went somewhere by themselves. I could say it quite a bit. 'Cause again, I went to frickin' France to play hockey by myself. Get down, get down, get down. I knew it. So that, I always have that for myself. And then, but Cuba is just different because it's, I don't know. France, you have a hockey team that you're meeting up, and it's legit. I'm not. When you say I've lived in France, people think you're well traveled, and theoretically I am, because I've been to Cuba, I've been to France, I've been to Russia twice. Technically, I've had layovers in Finland and Sweden, but it's not like I've been there and I'm like, oh, I'm traveling for the fun of it. No, you just, oh, Brandon, what are you doing? You just show up, oh, he's out. You show up and you're like, okay, I'm here with my team. I'm not going exploring. You might do it as a team. You might go, oh, we're going to go to the Goom or Red Square, yada yada yada. But when I was in Cuba, it was so cool because you would just end up meeting people, and then meeting people, and then just building off. I remember being in the pool drinking and meeting somebody who owns a card shop, and being like, yeah, I'm working in a bank. This is what happened. He was like, oh yeah, I almost went to that bank for my business, but I didn't because you guys were offering others. And we were just talking, and then he gave me, I don't think life advice is good, but he was giving me advice on traveling to Cuba, for example. And he was like, okay, this is what you do. You get the regular suite. So let's say the regular suite is $500. And then once you get there, that's when you ask for the diamond suite. Because if they have it available, they want to sell it. So they give it to you for dirt cheap, and then it gives you access to all the other things. And the other really cool one that I learned, I haven't tried it because I learned it in May and I haven't traveled since then, is if you're taking a flight, you buy, let's say, a $500 credit card or prepaid card, and you spend it all, and then when you get on the flight, you can order whatever you want and then put it on the card, because the card doesn't register until it lands, and by the time you land, there's such a quick turnaround that they're like, screw it. And the guy who told me this, I feel like such an ass, because I hung out with him for 5 days, and we were friends, but I don't know what his last name is, and I didn't get any pictures with him. I didn't get nothing. He runs a TikTok account. I think it's Canada Capital, because what he does is he takes a clip from Parliament, and then he will cut it up and take the highlights and post them. But I didn't get a picture with him. I didn't get his Instagram. And the other guy from Owen Sound, But the problem is what I want to do is I wanted to message him on TikTok where he works, but he's private in the sense that you can't message him unless you're like following him and he's following you. So I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? Comment being like, hey, can you follow me so I can message you? Alright, that's enough of that. Alrighty. Tell all your friends, tell your wife, tell your girlfriend, tell your girlfriend's boyfriend. King of Losers. Best on TV, best on Twitch. Twitch TV is what I meant to say. Peace.